Discover the incredible journey of honesty and discipline, 10 life-changing lessons for your mind. Jake stared at the worn chalkboard in his tiny classroom, visions of brighter futures swirling in his mind. He wanted to ignite a spark in his students' budding innovators, young dreamers. As the bell rang, a noisy flood of teenagers filled the room, but Jake couldn't shake the weight on his shoulders. Each day felt suffocating, fueled by dreams held captive by bills and budget cuts that loomed like dark clouds. They were his students, but they were also his lifeline, and he fought for them with every ounce of dedication he had. His mother's sacrifices echoed in his mind like a mantra. She had toiled endlessly, pouring her heart into every job, determined to give him a chance at a better life. Memories of her worn-out hands flashed before him, twisting and turning in the kitchen late at night after a double shift. A single tear slipped down his cheek, reminding him why he couldn't give up, not when he had a promise to fulfill. "Mr. Collins!" shouted Mia, as she waved a hand in front of him. The tentative hope in her eyes mirrored the dreams they all shared for the robotics team. This wasn't just a class, it was a passion that gave these kids a chance to create, design, and build. It was a sanctuary where they learned creativity and teamwork. Each Friday, spark plugs clinked and metal gears whirred to life, but the impending budget cuts threatened to snuff out their dreams. Jake's heart pounded as thoughts raced. If he spoke up, would he risk his own job? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. As the fundraiser approached and hope dimmed, misery hung around him like a thick fog. Their initial attempts had failed, leaving Jake emotionally drained. Driven by self-doubt, he reluctantly reached out to his estranged father, a veteran who knew what sacrifice meant. The call surprised them both, but it turned into a heartfelt conversation filled with truths and regrets. Jake's chest tightened as he listened to his father express the importance of standing up for what they believe in, igniting a flicker of determination in his heart. With renewed spirit, he gathered support from the local diner, bustling with discussions of plans and aspirations. Faces from his past, people who had overlooked him, now worked beside him. But beneath the excitement lay cracks in their community's foundation, hard truths of privilege that loomed large. The night before the event dawned, every whisper of excitement thickened the air. Jake glanced at his students, pride swelling in his chest. But would their hard work be enough? As they put the final touches on decorations, the weight of prejudice threatened to crush him one last time. As the day of anticipation unfurled, he stood tall among his students, ready to face the crowd. The first act approached, laughter mingling with nervous energy. Would they show unity? Or would the invisible barriers pull them apart? The gymnasium buzzed with energy, the bright lights casting warmth over the makeshift stage. Jake could hear the excited chatter of students and their families, the sound a soothing balm to his racing heartbeat. The decorated backdrop shimmered with the vibrant colors of their robotics project, a symbol of their hard work and dreams. "Mr. Collins, we're ready to present," Mia declared, her eyes wide with anticipation. Her enthusiasm spread to the others, a contagion of hope that breathed life into the room. Jake nodded, pushing aside his fears. This was their moment. The first act began, and Jake felt pride swell in his chest as he watched his students step forward. Their voices were shaky at first, nerves palpable in the air. But as they spoke about the project, explaining its intricacies, he saw their confidence bloom like flowers reaching for the sun. Each child had poured their heart into the robot, and this was more than a simple presentation. It was a testament to their ingenuity and resilience. As they showcased their device, Jake's mind flickered back to his mother's homemade dinners where everyone gathered, sharing stories, laughter, and love. Those evenings were where his own dreams had taken root. With a heart full of nostalgia, he looked at Mia, who was now articulating how they had overcome challenges during the design process, and he couldn't help but smile. Just as the presentation began to draw applause, a group of parents at the back started whispering loudly. The murmurs turned into laughter, derisive and dismissing. Jake felt a cold wave wash over him. He turned to see the disapproving glances aimed at the students on stage, a painful reminder of the barriers they fought against. How could they see so little of the potential standing before them? Mia faltered, her confidence shaking. He couldn't let them see despair. With thoughts of his mother's sacrifices driving him, Jake stepped out from the shadows and into the spotlight, standing beside her. This project represents every ounce of dedication these kids have put in, he began, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. They are innovators, but more importantly, they are a family that supports each other. Let us celebrate their dreams, not stifle them with prejudice. His words hung in the air, and for a moment, silence enveloped the gym. Then, he noticed faint murmurs of agreement ripple through the crowd. A father clapped slowly, then another joined in. Soon, applause erupted, mixed with cheers from the students and their families. Relieved laughter and smiles exchanged looks of acceptance and love for what they had created. In that moment, Jake felt the burden on his shoulders lighten. No matter what happened next, they had proven that unity could break down barriers. They were more than a robotics project, they were a community claiming their place in the world. But as the applause faded, whispers from the back persisted. A voice he recognized, tainted with skepticism, his own father grumbling under his breath about the event's worth. Jake glanced toward the source, confusion and anger battling within him. What would it take for an entire community to truly support these dreams? Turning back, he saw Mia and the others, faces bright with hope despite the lingering negativity. They had come so far, but how far could they go if the resistance wouldn't relent? A thought crossed his mind, one that weighed heavy on him. What if this was just the beginning of a much bigger fight? And deep in his heart, he sensed that he would have to confront the demons from his past to pave the way for their future. As he inhaled deeply, something stirred within him, born of resolve, a need to stand up not just for his students but also for himself. He had nothing to lose and everything to gain. With a determined glance at Mia, he whispered, "Get ready for round 2. But little did he know, the challenges that lay ahead would ask far more of him than he ever imagined. The energy in the gymnasium had shifted. What had begun as a celebration now felt like a quiet storm brewing in the background. Jake inhaled, feeling the heat of the moment collide with the chill of uncertainty from his father's attitude. Mia glanced up at him, her pulse echoing the mixture of hope and fear. She had always been the brave one, willing to dive into uncharted waters. "Mr. Collins, are we really going to change anything tonight?" she asked softly, her voice trembling slightly. Jake could see the insight in her eyes. "We will, Mia. We're just getting started." His heart beat faster, matching the urgency in his chest. He shifted his focus back to the crowd, where attention hung in the air like a thick fog. Years of tradition, of skeptical faces casting shadows on dreams, were now standing in their way. Without thinking too much about it, Jake cleared his throat once again. "I know many of you may have doubts," he spoke, looking around. He aimed for the naysayers, his father's frown still vivid in his mind. But innovation requires trust. It requires knowing that the greatest potential often comes from the unlikeliest places. The audience shifted. Some parents exchanged glances and leaned closer as whispers of curiosity mixed with skepticism started to rise. "Let us take a moment to hear from the kids," he continued, gesturing toward the students. They were ready, all of them standing a bit taller now, fueled by his words. Mia stepped forward first, introducing their robot boldly. "We named him Sparky," she said with a mix of pride and excitement. "He's our answer to help clean up the environment." As she spoke, Jake marveled at how their project represented more than just wires and circuits. It symbolized their dreams of a better world. Each student followed Mia, sharing snippets of the robot's features, their voices growing bolder as laughter and joy seeped into their presentation. Jake watched their faces transform from apprehension to exhilaration. It was contagious, and soon, he found himself smiling too. The atmosphere buzzed with an energy he hadn't felt before. Even the back of the gym, where the murmurs had once threatened to drown their efforts, was staring at them now. Attention peaked. Then, amidst their excitement, another voice sliced through the room like a cold wind. This is just a childish hobby. Are we supposed to invest in this nonsense? Jake's father stood up, his arms crossed, scrutiny etched deeply into his features. With that, the small buzz shifted back to tension. Jake's heart sank. His father's words weren't new, they cut deep. But he held tighter to his resolve. Childish? He said, voice steady as he addressed the entire audience. These children are not just building robots, they're building solutions for tomorrow. They're teaching us that doing something is better than doing nothing. His words pulsed in the air, echoing off the gym walls. He glanced at Mia and the others, their faces lit with determination, and he pressed forward. This is about believing in the future. In our future together. So, I ask you all, what do you believe in? A moment of doubt hung, a thin line separating the resistant voices from those finally shifting in their seats. There was an uncertainty in the crowd, shadows merging with flickers of light. Then a small voice broke through. I believe in us. It was one of the younger students, rising to his feet, a tiny force igniting a spark. Jake's heart swelled as more kids began to stand, their voices cascading into a chorus of support. We believe in change. We can do this. Each declaration stringing together, lighting a fire that could not easily be snuffed out. Watching this shift gave Jake a taste of something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. It breathed through him like fresh air, a promise that they would not be silenced. But then, just as it seemed the tide was turning, Jake's father sneered, hope isn't enough. What is the plan if you fail? Jake's confident facade wavered as dread pooled in his stomach. Could he convince even the person closest to him? In the face of love and conflict, how did acceptance find its way? Jake took a deep breath, gathering his courage. I choose to believe in them and in myself. The words echoed more fiercely than he expected. Would it be enough? As the gym continued to resonate with shifting attitudes, Jake braced himself. If his father remained unmoved, the battle was far from over. Could he break through this wall built by disbelief? With a heavy heart yet unwavering spirit, he glanced at Mia, knowing they were poised on a precipice of change, ready to leap into the unknown. Would they rise together, or would he face the consequences of past pains alone? The answer lay ahead, waiting just out of reach. As the murmurs rippled through the audience, Jake felt like a boxer taking a punch, the air rushed out of him. His father's challenge hung heavy, a thick fog smothering the spark of hope they had ignited. He was used to his father's skepticism, but tonight felt different. The crowd was alive, caught between belief and doubt, and Jake needed to tip the scales. Let me ask you something, Jake pressed, seeking that thread of connection. What does success look like? Is it purely numbers? Or is it about stepping up, taking risks, and believing in each other? He scanned the faces, looking for anyone willing to take their side in this battle. These kids deserve a shot. Mia jumped in, determination shining in her eyes. Failure is part of learning, Mr. Collins. Look at us. We've faced obstacles, but we keep pushing forward. Sparky is just the beginning. We want to create a movement, a ripple effect. She pointed at the robot, its bright colors gleaming under the gym lights, and the crowd began to lean forward, curiosity peaking again. Jake watched the students as they fed off Mia's enthusiasm. Their eyes sparkled with a blend of fear and exhilaration. They were ready, willing to share their dreams. He stepped back, letting them take the limelight. One by one, they lined up next to Mia, eager to show the crowd what they had created together. Here's how Sparky works, a girl named Sophie explained, her voice gaining strength. He uses recycled materials to help clean up. The way she spoke transformed her nervousness into passion. The energy shifted yet again, new life flowing through every word. And he can even plant trees. Another boy shouted, laughter easing the tension. The gym erupted in enthusiasm. Parents leaned in closer, nodding, whispering promises and possibilities to one another. For the first time tonight, minds were opening hearts too, but Jake's father was still an immovable stone at the back. His gaze sliced through the laughter like an arrow. What if you fail? What's your backup plan? He countered, the edge in his voice ringing clear. Jake felt the burn of anger but forced a smile, grounding himself. No one plans to fail, but if we do, we learn. That's growth. Isn't that what we all want for our kids? He took a breath, tapping into the collective vibe of the crowd. This isn't just about science projects. It's about unity, courage, and relentless spirit. Murmurs of agreement began rolling through the crowd. Jake could see it, the slow process of thawing doubt. He caught Mia's eye, and the two exchanged a glance loaded with unspoken strength and understanding. What's more powerful than hope? It's action. It's standing together and refusing to back down in the face of uncertainty. Jake felt the warmth of his voice wrapping around him like a shield, his passion growing stronger with each word. The kids embraced this energy, their confidence bubbling up as they chimed in with their own plans of how Sparky could help the community. Excitement transformed into a collective cheer. It was contagious. Jake's eyes flicked back to his father. The disbelief was still there, but something shifted behind his eyes, maybe a glimmer of recognition. Then, a loud crash echoed from the back of the gym. It startled everyone, and instantly, all eyes turned to the source. A large display board toppled over, scattering robot parts everywhere. Gasps filled the room, tension spiraling back like it had moments before. Jake's heart raced. Had they pushed too hard? Had this backlash put them all on the edge again? Would this be the moment everything crumbled? As chaos erupted, Jake's instincts kicked in, and he led the kids to help clear the mess. We don't stop when things get tough. This is just another bump. He shouted above the noise, raising his voice to rally the troops. Could this be the moment that would solidify their resolve, or would they stumble when adversity struck? The doubt hovered, but Jake's hope burned brighter amid the chaos. He glanced at Mia, vignettes of determination filled her expression. Together, they were ready to face whatever came next. Could this setback actually spark an even greater fire of unity? As the dust settled, one thing was clear: this moment, chaotic as it was, would shape them all in ways they hadn't yet imagined. Amid the swirl of chaos, Jake felt a surge of adrenaline pulse through him. The loud clattering of the display board had thrown off the momentum, but it was a chance to show their resilience. He bent down, grabbing the pieces scattered across the floor. Let's get this together. He called out, his voice sharp against the din. The kids jumped into action, a flurry of hands reaching for the broken parts. Sophie picked up a solar panel, seemingly unbothered by the previous terror. Sparky needs us, she said, her enthusiasm returning. The others joined in, laughter bouncing off the gym's walls as they hurriedly reassembled their beloved creation. Jake's heart swelled. This was what they needed, a moment to reaffirm their commitment, to remind everyone watching that they weren't just a project, they were a team. See? Look at them. Mia shouted to the crowd, her voice ringing above the noise. We won't let anything stop us. As they pieced everything together, Jake noticed the audience's reactions. Parents leaned in, eyes sparkling with a blend of fear and admiration for their kids' determination. The skepticism in the room shifted. Doubts fluttered away like autumn leaves in a brisk wind. Even his dad's posture softened. Jake could see him, arms crossed less defiantly now, eyes narrowing as he absorbed the scene. It felt as if the old walls of disbelief were beginning to erode. Perhaps this wasn't the end, but a new beginning. Just a little more. We've got this. Jake buoyed the team on, feeling the energy in the room swell. Each passing second thickened the air with renewed confidence. Suddenly, a boy stepped forward, waving a working part in triumph. I found it. It's Sparky's heart. The crowd erupted into cheers. In that moment, unity spilled over the edges. It was like watching a spark ignite into a flame. Mia turned to Jake, her eyes wide with a question, do you think we've turned the corner? Not yet, Jake said quietly, the excitement still buzzing around him. But we're getting closer. Just then, silence enveloped the gym. As the crowd turned its attention back to the robot, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. The once wobbly Sparky stood tall again, a silhouette of hope against the backdrop of uncertainty. Our hopes are built on more than just dreams. Jake called out, a newfound fire igniting in his chest. They're built on our hard work and the courage to keep standing up. With that, Jake took a step forward and pressed the button on Sparky's control panel. The robot whirred to life, lights blinking in a chaotic dance of colors, sparking gasps from the audience. The room held its breath. But then, Sparky jolted. The lights flickered and dimmed. A heavy silence followed, interrupted only by a squeak from the machinery that sent Jake's heart plummeting. He felt a tightness in his chest as doubts crept back in. What if this was it? What if it really failed this time? He glanced to Mia for support, struggling to maintain hope. The whispers grew louder, a tide of disbelief threatening to drown them once again. And just then, as if responding to his anxiety, Sparky emitted a thrumming sound and suddenly surged into motion, jerking slightly before it steadied. A collective gasp escaped into the air. Go, buddy! Shouted a voice from the crowd, and the energy surged back to life. Jake was flooded with relief, but just as he leaned back to embrace the moment, his father's low voice rang out once more, cutting through the cheers. What if this fails again? Jake's heart raced. The eyes of everyone turned back to him, including Mia's searching gaze. Their dream teetered on a precipice, an echo of doubt whispering in his ear. Would they all fall together? Gripping the edge of the podium tightly, Jake felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He was about to answer when another loud crash interrupted once more, shattering the tension like glass. The crash was deafening, reverberating through the gym like thunder. Jake flinched, adrenaline spiking in his veins. He spun around, eyes darting to locate the source of the sound. His heart pounded against his ribcage. The crowd gasped, faces painted with a mix of concern and confusion. Amidst the chaos, Mia stood frozen. What was that? She whispered, clutching an armful of wires, her usual bravado melting away. Everyone, stay calm. Jake's voice rang out, though it trembled just a bit. He took a deep breath, steeling himself. Slowly, the audience began to settle, curiosity mingling with anxiety. His eyes narrowed as he scanned the gym, trying to discern the culprit. To his left, a stack of equipment boxes had toppled like dominoes, a metallic sheen glinting ominously under the fluorescent lights. As the last box hit the floor, a cloud of dust erupted, momentarily cloaking Sparky in a haze. Come on, he murmured, shifting his focus back to the robot. A flicker of doubt tugged at his mind, but he shook it off. Not now. He couldn't afford to let fear creep in again. Jake pushed through the crowd, limbs moving heavier than usual as he reached Sparky. He knelt beside the robot, inspecting it closely. To his relief, nothing seemed broken. But something still felt off. Jake, you think we should take a break? Someone suggested hesitantly, momentarily breaking the spell of anticipation. No. He snapped, a bit too forcefully. Regret washed over him as he caught Mia's wide eyes, filled with concern. Sorry, I mean, we can't let this stop us now. The crowd's murmur swelled, his outburst momentarily diffusing the tension. But Jake's own heart was racing. What did he have to do to keep everyone's spirits high? Okay, how about this? He said, training his voice on the audience. I know Sparky can do it. We just need to show him we believe in him. Can I get a cheer for Sparky? A wave of hesitant cheers rippled through the gym. It wasn't the roaring response he hoped for, but it was a start. A flicker of hope ignited in his chest. Louder! Jake called, and with that, a little more enthusiasm crept into the shouts. At that moment, he felt lighter, the connection between him and the team strengthening. They were in this together. He turned back to the robot. "All right, Sparky, let us show them what you've got." He pressed the control panel again, and this time, with steady determination, he brought the robot to life once more. Lights blinked bright, and a soft whirring filled the air. The audience leaned in, captivated. Jake watched, breath bated, heart racing. Sparky moved with hesitation, wobbling at first then steadied itself, a brave little spark amidst trepidation. But suddenly, the lights dimmed again, and the whirring faded. Panic built in Jake's chest as the familiar twitch returned. "No, not now," he whispered, urging Sparky under his breath. A hesitating crowd turned to him, their gazes filled with a mix of hope and fear. Mia's eyes locked onto his, her belief shining through all the doubt. "I believe in you," Jake murmured, and just like that, a flicker of light danced across Sparky's chest. In that moment, Jake felt an undeniable connection, not just to the robot, but to the entire team. Then, like a dam breaking, Sparky jolted into action again. Only this time, it was different. It moved confidently, lights illuminating the gym like a celebration. Cheers erupted. The room filled with energy, a wild mix of joy and disbelief washing over them. But just as the elation peaked, a shadow loomed in the gym doorway. Jake's heart dropped. It was the school principal, face tight with concern. "Jake, I need to speak with you now." The elation wavered, and suddenly the vibrant energy felt heavy. His heart sank as he turned to face the crowd again. What if this conversation put an end to everything? He took a step toward the principal, feeling the weight of hope slip from his grasp. Did he have what it took to save Sparky and the project, or was he about to watch it all crumble down? As the gym went quieter, he couldn't shake the chill of uncertainty in the air. Jake's stomach twisted as he approached the principal. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, like a heavy blanket smothering any brightness that had lit up the gym just moments before. "Jake," the principal began, voice low and steady, eyes scanning the crowd. "What is going on here? I heard there was a disruption." He wanted to tell her it was just a small hiccup, that Sparky was on track and the team was united behind it. But he could see the worry etched on her face, the kind of worry that could crush dreams with a single decision. "Everything's fine, Ms. Carter," Jake said, trying to sound confident, the words tumbling out a bit too quickly. "Sparky is just what?" she interjected sharply. "Is this project safe? You know how much responsibility rests on your shoulders, don't you?" He glanced back at the audience, their faces eager yet anxious. Mia stood at the forefront, eyes wide, silently pleading for him to say the right thing. If he faltered now, everything they'd worked for could slip through his fingers like sand. "Ms. Carter, I promise you, Sparky is safe. The accident was an accident, it won't happen again." His heart raced. Did he actually believe that? She sighed, her stern expression softening just a bit. "I trust you, Jake. Just remember, you can't let your excitement override safety. The competition is important, but so is guaranteeing the well-being of your classmates." His heart sank. The competition. It was supposed to be their moment to shine, to prove they were more than just students with big dreams. But now the principal's concern loomed like a dark cloud over their bright plans. "I know," Jake replied quietly, his voice cracking slightly. "We will be careful. I promise." "Good," she nodded, chest rising as she took a deep breath. "I'll leave you to it. Just keep me updated." As Ms. Carter turned to leave, relief flooded Jake for a brief moment. But reality came crashing back down when he looked at the crowd. The excitement in their eyes began to dim. Jake's heart pounded painfully in his chest. He needed to act fast that he raised his voice, locking eyes with Mia, who gave him an encouraging nod. "Hey, everyone, listen up." The murmurs quieted, and all eyes turned to him. "We've gone through bumps before, right? After all, isn't that what Sparky is all about, overcoming obstacles?" A few nods came from the crowd, a little more enthusiasm creeping in. "If we can handle a few box crashes, we can handle anything. Right? Right!" Came a shout from the back of the gym, followed by a smattering of applause. Jake felt a flicker of hope reignite. "We just need to trust in each other, and trust in Sparky. He's bigger than one little mishap, he can do amazing things." This time the cheer was louder. Jake felt the energy surge, pulling him up with it. He turned back to Sparky, determination flooding his veins anew. This was it. He could feel the weight of the moment shift, but before he could move, another voice broke through the air. "We can help, Jake. Let us show you how." It was Mia, stepping forward, eyes shining, face poised with resolve. The crowd erupted, their cheers echoing off the gym walls. "Are you ready to take this project to the next level?" Mia called out, and for a moment, it felt like the world around them faded away, leaving only the spirit of teamwork in the air. Jake nodded, excitement swelling in him. "Let us show them what we're made of." But as he turned back to the robot, a sudden thought crawled into his mind. Was he truly prepared for what lay ahead? Because as the crowd behind him surged with enthusiasm, he couldn't help but wonder, was the biggest challenge yet to come. In that moment, the gym's energy crackled with anticipation, but Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What awaited them on this unpredictable journey with Sparky? The cheers of the crowd faded into a faint hum in Jake's ears as he turned his gaze back to Sparky. The bright lights of the gym glinted off the metal frame of the robot, casting sharp shadows that seemed to embody the weight of Jake's anxiety. Could they bring Sparky to life? Could they rise above the looming doubts in their heads? Mia stepped closer, the warmth radiating from her confidence a stark contrast to Jake's hesitations. "We can do this," she whispered, a promise lacing her words. "We're a team, remember?" He nodded, but apprehension still clung to him. What if they hit another snag? What if something went wrong during the next demonstration? 1,000 what-ifs raced through his mind, but he took a deep breath, focusing instead on the resolve that had sparked within him, one that mirrored the energy filling the gym. "Okay, let us break into teams," Jake called, his voice gaining strength. "We have 3 days to fine-tune Sparky and make sure he's better than ever." The crowd erupted into excited chatter, eager to jump into action. As Jake distributed tasks, he couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that something was off. They were all enthusiastic, but underneath the excitement, he sensed an undercurrent of fear of failure, fear of letting each other down. "Hey, Jake," Mia said, snapping him back to the moment. "What's the plan for Sparky's next test? It's got to be bigger and better." Jake paused, weighing his words carefully. "We'll need to showcase not just how Sparky moves, but how he interacts." He glanced at the crowd. "Let us give him a challenge. Something that will really push his limits." As they brainstormed, the ideas flowed freely. They settled on a mini obstacle course designed to bring out Sparky's best features and wow the crowd. Jake felt a surge of hope as he saw Mia jotting down notes and the rest of the team allowing their creativity to flourish, but as enthusiasm filled the air, Jake's mind wandered back to the mishap. He pulled Mia aside, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I can't shake the feeling that things aren't going to go as smoothly as we hope." Mia frowned, concern flashing in her eyes. "That's natural, Jake. We just have to stay vigilant. Prepare for the worst while hoping for the best, you know." Her words hung in the air, a mix of solace and reality. Could they truly prepare for the unknown? With their plan taking shape, the energy grew. Jake smiled, buoyed by Mia's reassurance, but that nagging voice in the back of his mind wouldn't fade. Could they hold up under pressure? As the final touches were made to Sparky, Jake stood in front of the robot, feeling a connection that was almost electric. Suddenly, the doors of the gym swung open, and in walked several students from the rival school. They were smirking, confidence radiating from them. One of them, Brad, sauntered up, a challenging glint in his eye. "Heard you're trying to pull off something big with your tin can. Hope you're ready to be humiliated." The room fell deathly silent. The atmosphere shifted, thick with tension. Jake's pulse quickened, embarrassment washing over him. Were they really at risk of failing in front of everyone? His team stood behind him, a silent testament to their solidarity, but doubt settled like a heavy fog. "Just watch us," Jake shot back, his voice steadier than he felt. "We'll show you what Sparky can really do." Brad laughed, tossing his head back. "Good luck with that. You'll need it." As he turned away, the gym buzzed with a mixture of laughter and whispered conversations, fueling Jake's determination. Now more than ever, he needed to rally his team. They had a challenge to prove not just to their rivals, but to themselves. Taking a deep breath, he faced the team. "All right, everyone. We've got work to do. If Brad thinks we can't do this, then let us show them we can." The energy surged once more, a collective heartbeat driving them forward. But lurking beneath that energy was Jake's fear of the unknown, and with the countdown to the competition ticking away, he couldn't shake the question, could they really rise to the occasion when everything was on the line? As they dove back into preparations, an uneasy thrill coursed through him. What had Brad unleashed by sowing doubt? Little did they know, the real test was yet to come. As the hours ticked by, the gym buzzed with an energy that was almost tangible. Jake watched as his team worked tirelessly, pushing Sparky through new drills and testing the robot's responsiveness to commands. Each command was met with a flicker of lights and the soft whir of motors, and for a moment, Jake allowed himself to feel hopeful. Maybe, just maybe, they could pull this off. Mia stayed close, her enthusiasm contagious as she adjusted components and fine-tuned Sparky's sensors. "We need to make sure he can navigate the course without a hitch," she said, her eyes sparkling with determination. "I know, but what if he malfunctions again?" "We can't afford another slip-up," Jake replied, his brow furrowing. "You're overthinking it," Mia said gently, stepping back to meet his gaze. "Focus on what's working. Sparky isn't just a machine, he's a part of us now." Her words cut through the static in his mind. She was right. Sparky was more than just metal and wires, he was the embodiment of their combined efforts, resilience, and dreams. The practice sessions grew longer, and the excitement morphed into a palpable tension. Each member of the team had their own worries buried beneath a veneer of shared hope. Jake noticed the weariness creeping into their faces, the fatigue reflected in their slumped shoulders. Yet, every time they hit a roadblock, they regrouped, pushed through, and white-knuckled their way to progress. On the second day, while testing Sparky's agility, a sudden hitch caused the robot to veer off course, crashing into a stack of crates. A loud crash shattered the moment, sending Jake's heart racing. "No! Not again!" he shouted, rushing over to assess the damage. The team quickly gathered around Sparky, an anxious murmur spreading through them. Mia knelt beside the fallen robot, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "It's okay, we can fix this," she called out, trying to ignite courage in the others. Jake swallowed hard. "Can we really?" And then, a small voice piped up from the back. "It'll be okay, Jake. We just need to work together." It was Lily, one of the youngest team members. Her bright eyes shone with unwavering belief. Jake felt something shift in the room. The tension eased slightly, as the rest hesitated before nodding quietly in agreement. "All right, let us do this," Jake said, feeling a spark of inspiration. "Let us break down the problem and tackle it one piece at a time." They gathered around Sparky, brainstorming solutions, and before long, the atmosphere was filled with laughter and ideas. The setbacks transformed into stepping stones. That night, as he lay in bed, Jake thought about how they could turn the failure into an opportunity. They had a choice to make: let fear guide them or embrace the challenges ahead. On the final day of practice, the team stood together, a united front. They rebuilt Sparky with newfound energy, determined to prove Brad and his crew wrong. Excitement buzzed in Jake's mind, pushing aside every shred of doubt. Minutes before the demonstration, Jake felt that familiar knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. He glanced at the team, each face a reflection of hope and trepidation. "It's now or never," he whispered. "Whatever happens, we're in this together." As the countdown began and the gym erupted into cheers, Jake felt a wave of pride wash over him. Could they rise to this challenge? Would Sparky shine under the spotlight? A moment later, the buzzer sounded, and Jake's heart raced, and then, everything depended on that first move. In the silence of expectation, what would Sparky reveal about their journey together? As the buzzer sounded, the atmosphere packed and electric, Jake's heart raced. He stood poised at the front of the gym, control panel in hand, but it felt as if all eyes were on Sparky, the culmination of their hard work and collective dreams. Would he rise to the challenge? "Let us go, Sparky," Jake called, pressing the button. The audience held its breath. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Time felt suspended, and a murmur of doubt rippled through the crowd. Panic threatened to settle in Jake's chest, but then, the lights blinked to life, and Sparky roared to life. Cheers erupted, a tidal wave of sound washing over them. Sparky moved forward, its wheels whirring, gliding smoothly across the gym floor. Jake's relief was palpable. This was it. They'd done it. As Sparky navigated the obstacle course, weaving gracefully around cones and over ramps, Jake felt confidence swell in his chest. Mia danced with joy, clapping and shouting encouragement as each successful maneuver drew more cheers from the crowd. It felt like they were all part of a collective heartbeat, thumping in rhythm with Sparky's movements, but just as they entered the hardest part, a narrow tunnel that led to the grand finale, a sickening jolt shook the robot. Sparky faltered, wobbling dangerously and almost tipping over. Jake's heart dropped. Doubts crept back as the audience gasped, anticipation thickening the air. "Come on, Sparky. You can do this," Mia shouted, the mix of despair and hope in her voice radiating through the space. Jake steadied his breath, leaning forward as if willing Sparky to push through, and then, with a final burst of energy, Sparky surged forward through the tunnel and emerged victorious on the other side, lights flashing wildly in celebration. The gym erupted in roaring applause, tears of joy streamed down Mia's cheeks. In that moment, every ounce of struggle, every late night and early morning, flooded back to Jake. It wasn't just a robot, it symbolized their unity, their resilience against the odds. As Sparky completed the course, finishing with a dazzling display of lights and movement, Jake turned to his students. There were smiles, laughter, and even a little jumping from the sheer thrill of success. But as the cheers echoed, one voice cut through once more, the familiar skepticism dripping from it. "Now what? This doesn't mean anything." It was his father, standing at the back, arms crossed defiantly. Jake felt his heart clench. But this time, his resolve was firm. He gently nudged Mia aside, stepping forward towards his father. "It means everything," he declared, the fire in his voice unmistakable. "It represents hard work. Creativity. It shows that these kids have the ability to dream and create in a world that often says they can't." The audience turned, gripping onto his words like a lifeline, whispers of agreement stirring around them. Jake's father remained silent, face stiff, his mind awash with disbelief. But something had shifted, the palpable doubt in the air began to fade, replaced with a collective empowerment. "I believe in them," Jake continued, the words pouring from his heart. "There's a purpose behind what we've created. This isn't just a project. It's a testament to our community's spirit. Hope. Change. Unity." Something flickered in his father's gaze, the lines on his forehead easing a bit, if only for a moment. He opened his mouth, but no words came out, just a silence that resonated over the cheers. Suddenly, the students, fueled by the energy in the room, rallied around Sparky, chanting his name, their hopes and dreams intertwined. "Let us do this together. This is just the beginning," shouted Mia, and soon the walls echoed with the name Sparky. As more students added their voices, Jake watched as parents, even those who had doubted them, stepped forward to join, clapping and cheering. It was a beautiful cacophony of acceptance, joy, and the promise of what had yet to come. This was a community rekindled. Amid the chaos of celebration, Jake's heart soared. How far they had come together. In that instant, he realized his journey. Wasn't he just about winning a battle here and now? It was about paving a path for the future, a brighter, united future for everyone. As the gymnasium lights shone bright, illuminating an ocean of smiling faces, Jake felt the warmth of possibility wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. This was it. They had ignited a spark, one that couldn't easily be snuffed out. As the festivities continued, a realization washed over Jake. His fears, struggles, and those of his students had forged a bond too strong to break. Together, they had transformed obstacles into stepping stones. And they would keep climbing higher, one magnificent moment at a time. So, in that triumphant moment, with cheer and laughter swirling around them, Jake smiled radiantly. They did it. They had arrived. Now was the time for action. So if you felt inspired by this story, here's what you have to do: subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans know how crucial these actions are to keep the momentum going.